On this week's live stream, our epic animated music video project is building up steam. And this week we'll be showing you some of the innovative ways we're bringing our backgrounds and characters to life. Plus, game reviewer Young looks at a fun new racing game with gorgeous menus and an amazing selection of cars and tracks. And Kal, our artist in residence, adds a perfect body to her cat drawing tutorial. All this and more coming right up on the Chromeworks live stream. Good morning, everybody. Oh, what has happened? My Chromeworks background has disappeared. As usual, I did some last-minute messing around, and it seems to have screwed everything up here. Let's see if we can get that back again. Just can't live with... Oh, there we are. We're back. So welcome to another live stream, guys. We had a very busy week with my co-op crew. We've been working hard on our new animated music video, known in the Scratch community as an AMV. And we're making some really good progress. So last week, you might remember that we designed a whole bunch of really cool dystopian sci-fi backgrounds, and that's coming along quite nicely. So this week, we set to work starting with some animations. So we started to look around at ways to take these static backgrounds and add a little bit of zoom to them to get them moving around and changing and flashing and blinking. One of the main things that we did that I'm going to be showing you in a little bit is I figured out a way to get some realistic steam effects going in the Metropolis-themed background that I designed last week. You might remember that it had a strong kind of steam kind of motif going to it, and without steam it just wasn't going to look realistic. I was really struggling and I couldn't find any tutorials on Scratch at all on how to do this. So I just ended up playing around. I created a particle system just using a little dot created in Scratch with a gradient on it, and just started duplicating it and resizing it and ghosting it and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And wow, I was so impressed with the smoke effect I've made. I'm going to be releasing a standalone tutorial on how to do that in just a little bit as soon as I get the caption information and other stuff going. So you can look forward to that probably later on today. Really looking forward to showing you guys that. A whole bunch more content coming your way today. Really excited to show you some stuff. So let's get rolling here. No, not a lot of people online today. If you're lurking in the chat, please do say hello. Just tap in a little hello here, and maybe tell us how old you are and where you're from, and I'll give you a little shout out on the stream if you like. Yeah, it's pretty much crickets here on the stream today, so let's see if anyone's going to join us later. So here is the first background that you might have seen last week. This is by Firas, who is one of our co-op students. It's kind of a Gotham City inspired background from Batman Beyond. And so what Firas has done here is he took it upon himself to design, he wanted some traffic going back and forth across this landscape here. So he has drawn a whole bunch of really cool little ships. So he designed all these himself in an art program, then imported them into Scratch, and we created a little bit of a script here to move them randomly around the screen and have some of them shrink so they look like they're moving from the foreground to the background. And so let me show you what that looks like. Let's get it running right now. So as you can see, it's gonna look quite cool once it's all done here. All kinds of random spaceships zooming and zipping across the street, across the landscape in the background here. So along the front here, we're going to do our little dance routine. We're going to have one or more robots standing along here, and they're going to be doing something. So this is just going to be kind of background fluff to make things look a little more interesting. Okay, well that one's looking really great. There's not a whole lot of coding involved here. I can't show you what I did though. So here's our cars, and you can see that we just are picking a random Y location. We're waiting a random amount of time, and we're switching costumes to one of the 5 different car costumes that we've set up here, and then having them create clones of themselves. The clones go onto the screen, and we've got basically a 1 in 6 chance that they're going to be one that's going to grow, or that's going to start off at a bigger size and then shrink. And then if that doesn't happen, they're just going to pick a random direction, left or right, and then float across the screen anyway. So the coding looks quite complicated, but there's not really a whole lot going on here. They're just starting at one end of the screen and zooming across. And the code is mostly just creating the randomness, the random height, the random timing, the random speed, and the random height to the whole thing. And I think the final product was looking really good. Welcome to RGB Plays. Good morning from Reading, England. How are you today, sir?
I am good.
Good. Haven't heard from you in a while. Are you working
Yes,
on
sorry
anything?
about that.
So, you working on anything lately?
If you do go to my channel, I made a little funny show. It's a bit of a joke. I did post it on April Fool's, but I am planning for making more episodes.
Okay, so I'd love to have a look at your April Fool's project later. Maybe you can post it in the chat, and after one of the breaks, I'll show it.
I animated on Scratch, but it's not on Scratch.
But it's
I
not
only posted it on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, it's only on YouTube. Well, do send me the YouTube link, and I'll get it running here in a little bit once we get a bit of a break, Oscar. So thanks. All right. Anyone else lurking in the chat? Please do say hello, guys. So this is the first of the backgrounds we were looking at. I was quite impressed with this one. Let's have a look at some more of the work that we've been doing here. So this is a project by Yana, and you saw this last week as well. The detail in this is just fantastic. I was really raving about this last week. The lighting in particular just looking really realistic. I'm amazed at how you can create 3D looking backgrounds and animations in Scratch and make them look just fantastic. So this is a simple frame animation. She's just drawn a whole bunch of frames to make things move around here. But let's click it and have a look. So we added a door here, and so this door opens and closes, and these dials start to spin around. Watch this, guys. So yeah, a nice little animation. Not too much involved in the coding here, but you can see how just by moving stuff around and duplicating your frame, you can create some cool little frame animations here that really bring your background to life. So in this particular example, the robot's going to be dancing behind this first row of valves and in front of this kind of big black control panel here, so kind of moving back and forth across this area, and that's what's going to be happening at that stage of our AMV. This is great. Thanks to Yana for that one. Let's have a look at, okay, so this one's still in production here a little bit. This is a background that was created by Marquise, one of our co-op students we haven't seen a lot from yet. He's been working on some background stuff for us. So this is based on an image that he downloaded off of Google Images. We're going to add some more distressing effects to this. We're going to, add some grunge, and maybe we're going to have some paper or something, kind of some garbage kind of strewing across the screen and kind of a wind-blown effect. And that's what we're going for in this one. So that's a fairly straightforward one. Here's another one. This is, you saw this one last week. We haven't really done anything to this one yet. This is our basketball-themed dystopian background here. We're going to have some dancing in the front. Yeah, we haven't actually done anything to Young's project here yet in the last week. Now, this one I really wanted to show you. So this is another example of frame animation. This is Wang, who's from Vietnam, and he's been working super hard on this project. He's done something that was inspired by Brave New World, and you might have seen it last week. So last week it was a static project, but now he's brought these conveyor belts to life. Let's have a look. Again, this is another frame animation. He's just cycling through a whole bunch of frames, but wow, doesn't this look great? So Oscar, you do a lot of animation work. What are you thinking about this stuff?
It actually looks really good. It's quite smooth, actually.
Yeah, I'm really quite impressed with this. So we did quite a bit of work tweaking the speeds and stuff like that to get everything looking like it's moving quite nicely. I'm actually super impressed with this project. It's looking very cool and dystopian anyway. So again, congratulations to Wang for doing a fantastic job on this one. This one is called Dark Ali remix, and it was made by Hifad, another one of my co-op students. And so this again is a drawing that was done in Scratch. Last week you saw the basic outline of the alley. You can see that we've added some neon effects. I've got a neon upgrade sign here, and there's some more buttons that I'm generating automatically. There's some code involved here. And let me show you what it looks like first before we get into it too deep. So yeah, so once it starts up here, all these buttons start flashing randomly with a little glow effect, and the neon sign kind of glows and then unglows and then glows and then unglows, and everything's kind of working independently. And I think it's a really cool backdrop here that we're going to get some good use out of. So let me show you the code here. So one interesting animation technique that we've been doing with this stuff this week is, rather than having a whole bunch of frames of animation, we've been doing stuff like glow effects. What we're actually doing here is we have two layers. We've got one layer for the front button and another layer for the glow effect. And the glow effect is just fading in and out. So we've got a ghost effect that's making it appear and disappear. So by adding two layers to this project, you can see that we're just placing a whole bunch of clones down here and sizing them all differently and positioning them so that they sit across the screen in a realistic way. And when they start as a clone, all they do is they wait a random amount of time, and that's what gets them all out of sync with each other. We don't want them all glowing simultaneously, right? So we wait a little bit of a random time, and we start changing our ghost effect, and everything starts flashing in a very, very pleasing way. So with our robot sign here, we did something similar. I drew this in Photoshop, just grabbed some clip art and added some text to it. You can see what we got going here, and added an outer glow effect to it in Photoshop, and you can see what we did here. This is something you can do in free photo programs like Pixlr and Photopia as well. You can just get us a little bit of a blur and a glow effect going and get something like this going. And again, we're just making it fade in and fade out. So we've got a constant loop here where we're changing the ghost effect a little bit at a time, waiting, and then changing the ghost effect again. And I think the neon effect is really neat looking here, and it definitely adds a really cool futuristic kind of Blade Runner-ish look to what was otherwise a pretty bland looking dark alley. So congratulations to Hifad for putting that one together. I thought that was a really cool project. Another one going here. So this is Kal, who's our resident artist. She's bringing you a art tutorial in a little bit. So she drew this really cool robot background, robot workshop background last week. You've already seen it. But what we've done is cloned it into 3 different sprites, and each sprite has a slightly different lighting effect to it. You can see we've got the light half lit here, and then fully lit. Yeah, well, sorry, we've got fully lit, and then partially lit, and then totally switched off. And you can see when we zoom up really close here that you can see the light bulb here, and then when we're in this version of it, you can see a little bit of the light bulb, and then in this version of it, it's fully lit. So it's a very subtle lighting effect, and so rather than just flipping back and forth between these frames, which would have been okay, we thought we'd create a much more realistic effect by having the first sprite here, the fully lit one, sprite 1 at the front, and then slowly fading it away, and then revealing sprite 2, which is perfectly superimposed over it, and then revealing sprite 3. And so that ends up creating a much more realistic animation effect. Let me show you what this looks like. I'm just super impressed by this again. So it looks like many, many frames of animation, but it's actually just 3 frames of animation along with a little bit of a glow effect. And something really cool going on there. Really impressed. Hello to FireGamer37. Do tell us where you're from, and tell us just roughly where you're from, and we'd love to get you to say a little bit about you on the live stream. Anything else you want to say about yourself? Anything you're comfortable saying about yourself, please do. And we'll give you a little shout out here. All right, so this is
one of me and Goose's friends, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. So he's from England as well?
No, he's in America.
Oh, he's an American. Okay. Anyway, tell us what state you're from, buddy. And we're always curious about where people come from. Hello to Liam Shaw. Um, Welcome again, and let us know where you're from. We're just curious about where our viewers come from. Fire Gamer says he likes Donkey Konga too. I'm not sure what Donkey Konga is and how it differs from Donkey Kong, but
It's a very good game.
is it like a platform, like a Nintendo game then, I guess?
GameCube.
GameCube. Oh, and it's a retro game, eh? So Fire Gamer says he's from New Jersey. Liam, tell us what state you're from. We won't hunt you down and kill you, we promise. Yeah, we just want to know where our viewers are from, buddy. So that was this is Cal's project. I think it's really cool looking, and so the lighting effect just as another example of how you can get some cool animation effects going without too many frames of animation. So this is just a simple copy paste of 3 different frames and then ghosting back and forth between it. Really cool. Here is my project, which you guys saw last week, and this is going to be one of the main focuses of today's lesson here. So remember, we were working on this background from the movie Metropolis, and I was trying to get it animated and try and get some steam effects going here. I'm actually going to turn this over to Mr. Tomac, who's going to tell you all about how he did this. I think this is a really cool little effect that we've got going here, and Mr. T is going to tell you all about it. So my co-op students and I have been making great progress on our animated music video, a robot-themed dystopian rock opera that we're hoping to release very soon, and which we're very excited about. So we've been working on animating backgrounds and getting some cool stuff going, little vignettes and scenes that we're going to be using in our video. This one behind here is called Steamworks, and it's one that I designed myself. I went through great effort to get all the little details as closely accurate as possible with shading and dials and all sorts of knobs. This is a fairly close representation of a scene from the classic 1927 sci-fi movie Metropolis. As you can see here, I've duplicated a lot of the elements here, but the one thing I was really struggling with was how to get realistic looking steam working in Scratch. Well, after much fooling around, I actually did get it working. As you can see here, release the steam. We've got something that's quite realistic here that I'm very proud of. So I wanted to do a little tutorial here on how I created the steam and how you can do similar steam and smoke effects and perhaps fog effects in your own projects. This is the project file I was using for my experiments this week. There's not a whole lot to it. I've just drawn a very simple kind of house shape just to get a chimney that I can have shooting some smoke out. And here is the actual smoke. It's something related to what you would, in more sophisticated programs, consider like a particle effect. So I've got a particle here, which is just a little puff of smoke. It's quite small, and I've drawn it just using gradients. So I've got a circular dot here that I filled up with a circular gradient that goes from a gray to a transparent color. So it's just a little dot.
Hey guys, it's
and
me,
just by
I'm mad.
repeating it over and over again, and fading it in and out, we're going to end up creating a fairly realistic smoke effect here. So, as you would probably guess, we're going to start cloning this object. So let's start by moving it to the location where we want our smoke to start. I'm just going to put it right here underneath the chimney, and then we are going to click the green flag and send it to the back, so that it's behind everything else and appears to actually be growing out of the chimney. So in a little bit, I'm going to start creating a whole bunch of clones here, but for now I'm just going to create one clone so we can kind of see a little microcosm of what we're building here and see the lifespan of one particle as it moves up the screen. So we're going to, when I start the clone here, we need first of all to get this into a numbered loop, a repeat loop. We can't do this forever because we're creating clones very, very quickly here, and we need to delete them before we hit that clone limit of 300 on our screen, which is just going to bug out and stop making clones after that point. So I went with a number of about 150, which represents something pretty close to the lifespan of one of these guys based on the parameters I've set. You might want to go with something a little bit different. So let's start by moving our puff of smoke up the screen here. We're going to add some randomness to its motion in a little bit. But for now, let's just go change Y by 2, which will just get it gently drifting up towards the sky. Just like that. There we go. It already looks a little bit smoke-like. Okay, so as it's going up here, we're going to do a couple of things to it. Number one, we're going to increase its size just a little bit each time we come around this loop. So I'm going to change size. Let's go to our looks commands here. And I'm going to change size by 5. Let's see what that's going to look like. You can see it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it moves up the screen until it finally gets to the top there. All right. Next, we're also going to make it get a little bit more transparent as it moves up the screen. So we're going to change our ghost effect. By just a tiny little bit. And it's going to pile up as we go along here. But right now, the number I picked was 0.15 after much playing around. Let's see what that looks like. And so as it moves up, it gets a little bit more transparent until it gets to the top, and it more or less fades away. So we do want to get rid of this clone. We don't want them piling up invisibly at the top of the screen. So once we exit this loop, I'm going to do a delete this clone, and that will get rid of our guy. You'll see based on the timing we've set up here, he disappears pretty much right away when he gets to the top there. Beautiful. Okay, now we want to add some randomness to the movement of these smoke puffs. So when right here in the change Y, I'm going to add a random number to change the Y by. So each time it comes around the loop, it's going to reassess its speed and come up with a speed between 1 and 3. And you can see it's going to make the speed a little bit jerky as it's going up. Hard to really see with one of them, but as we do more of them, it's going to start to pile up. We want to do the same thing with the horizontal motion as well. So I'm going to go change Y, change X here, right below the change Y. And I'm going to add a random number there as well. Now we want to go basically either to the left or to the right. The smoke is always going to go up, but the left-right motion we're going to make a little bit more random. So let's go pick random from -3 to +3. All right, let's see what that looks like now. And you can see our smoke puff is starting to do some more erratic behavior here. Now it's kind of floating around and doing some more or less random behaviors. Okay, so far so good. So that is most of the code here. So at this point, what we can do is actually start creating clones. Now we want these clones to be created as quickly as humanly possible, as fast as Scratch can manage it anyway. So we won't be putting a delay in here. We're just going to do a forever. Let's switch the background to, I have a beautiful little night sky background that I got from the default Scratch library, and that really makes the smoke come out when it's against a dark background here. Okay, let's click the green flag and watch the magic happen. Looking good already, doesn't it? Now there's one little imperfection here you can see, which is that the smoke is kind of coming out the sides of the chimney instead of out the top here. That's a little difficult to do with these gradients here. So what we're going to do is make sure that the thing floats straight up for a little bit before it starts randomly going from side to side. So let's go add another loop to our code here before we set up this 150 loop. I'm just going to make sure that the smoke puff moves straight up before it starts moving sideways. So I'm just going to do a motion of change Y by, let's say 2 or something here for 10 times. And watch what happens when I restart my program now. You can see that now it's coming straight out of the chimney before it starts to spread out. Now this vertical column is a little bit too high here, so let's make that repeat loop a little lower. So if I go to 5, for example, or even 3, We just want to make sure that it's not leaking out the sides of the object here. Yeah, actually, I think 5 might be the better number here. Yeah, and so now it really looks like it is being emitted straight out of the chimney. Beautiful. Now that smoke is looking a little thick here, so we're going to fix that up in part by setting an initial ghost value here. So let's go grab a set color effect block. We'll change that to ghost. And we'll set an initial ghost here of 50% and see how that affects our smoke. So you can see a little bit more transparency in the smoke here. You can start to see some of the stars around the edges. It's still quite thick though. So if you're looking for thinner smoke, we can go up with a higher number here. Let me show you what 70 looks like here. And you can see the smoke's a little bit wispier. We can actually see some of the stars behind here, especially near the top. It's very subtle. If we go up higher to 90 though, you'll see quite a dramatic difference. There we go. And now we just have the tiniest little wisp of smoke coming out of the top of our chimney here. Let's have a look at 80 just for curiosity's sake here. That's a pretty good value. It doesn't kind of billow out the way that we wanted. So it really depends on what kind of smoke it is you want to get going here. Let's go back to 50% for now though. Start belching out smoke quickly. Now another variable you can play around with here is the ghost effect transition. So this is the decay rate of the transparency. So the bigger this number is, the faster your smoke will dissipate and disappear into nothing. So as I increase this number, let's bring it all the way up to 0.5 here to show you what that does. And you can see that right away the smoke starts to decay before it gets too far up at all. It's about about 60, 70 pixels from the top of the screen before it almost completely disappears there. So you can play around with that number and get the kind of smoke that you're looking for. So if we go even more than that, up to 1, for example, you see that our smoke really dissipates there. So it's mostly a matter of playing around with these values until you get the decay rate and the thickness of smoke that you want. So I was quite happy with around 0.5 here and with around 50%. I think that's lovely for this particular project. I went with different numbers for my Steamworks project, of course, but I wanted the smoke to go all the way to the top. So there's lots of other ways you can customize this. One thing I found that works really well is changing the brightness effect. So let's go ahead and set the brightness effect to 50 and have a look at what that does for our smoke here. Now we've got a much cheerier looking white smoke here, which is kind of cool. And we can go the other direction as well, of course. We can go to -50 and restart here. And you'll see that the smoke is very, very black here, almost invisible against this. Not that useful for this kind of nighttime backdrop, but if you were doing a daytime effect like this one, you can see how the dark smoke might work quite nicely for a building on fire or something. If you were doing flames, that black smoke might work quite nicely. I do like the cheerful white smoke though, and again, it's just something that you can customize however you like. Another thing you can do is change the range of these random numbers. Looking at this X value, for example, if we change these all to positive numbers, like from 1 to 3, you can see we create a little bit of a wind effect that blows our smoke off to the right. Or we can do the opposite just by changing both values to negative, just like that. Changing the Y value has some strange effects. If you make it the numbers a lot slower, like we stick with just a 1 here for the Y value, you can see that the smoke decays much sooner and becomes kind of puffier around the smokestack. And if we go with a bigger number, let's say 6, you can see that we get a much wispier smoke stream that just goes up very, very quickly into the air. So you can't get both. You can't get width and fast speed out of this because of the limitations of Scratch. There's only so fast that you can create smoke puffs, of course. One last modification that can create some cool effects is changing the color of your particle, of course. So let's go back to the nighttime backdrop where we can see things a little more clearly. And so we can go ahead and change this gradient to a red to transparent gradient, for example. Whoops. Just make sure we're going to transparency there. Perfect. So let's see what that looks like now. Well, that's a little terrifying. So something a little more demonic there. Or we could go with a sickly green color as well. For something a little more kind of radioactive. Well, that has some potential as well, I think. So I'm sure there's all kinds of other ways you guys can play around with this to create smoke or fog or steam effects for your projects. I'd love to see what you do with this work, and if you do create something from this, please share it with me. I'm at Mr. Tomek on Scratch, and always happy to see your work. And if I really like it, I'll show it on next week's live stream. In the meantime, hope you enjoyed this, and keep on scratching, everybody. Well, thank you for that report, Mr. Tomek. So, yeah, I'm just super impressed with myself with this smoke project. I went looking everywhere. I Googled and I searched the Scratch website looking for a realistic way to make smoke, and I just could not find any good tutorials on it. So I'm hoping this will be of use to the rest of you guys out there in the community as well. Welcome to Goose, who's just joined us here. Welcome, Goose. And he's a friend of Oscar's, right? So anyway, he's with us in the Discord chat right now. Have either of you guys seen smoke effects like this before? Or this is the first time you've seen anything like that? Hey, Goose.
I have never actually seen anyone do a smoke effect like this before.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. You can definitely see some applications in other projects. I can see how you could turn it into fog or steam or almost anything you want to do. So anyway, I'm just self-congratulating myself today because I just think that this is a super cool effect. I am continually and newly amazed by the different things that you can do in Scratch. And I think this project here in particular is stretching the limits of things that are possible to do in terms of animation and drawing in Scratch. So I'm really excited about this AMV project and hoping that more of you will be willing to come aboard. Anyone out there who's watching, please reach out to me, and I would love to have you do some animation work. So in addition to drawing backgrounds for me, one of the things that you guys can do for me to help me out here is take my reference robot, my basic robot that I've drawn here. This is Tankbot. Whoop. Oh, I'm in the wrong place here. Just a second. Here it is. So this is Tankbot, who's the winner of our Robot Idol contest, who's going to be the star of this animated music video. And you can see how just by modifying his costumes a little bit, we can get some really cool new dance moves going here. So I'm going to share this this project here called Tankbot Dance Library, and you guys can feel free to remix it and come up with your own dance moves for me. So I'm going to paste this into the chat right now, guys. So anyone out there in TV land who's interested in making a remix of this can help me to create my very own, your very own dance that will appear in this music video. I got some of my co-op students working on some dance moves this week, and I wanted to give you guys a preview of some of the cool stuff that we got going here. So here's the first one. This is Yana, who is one of my co-op students. I asked her to just create a three-dimensional spinning around effect for this guy, and you guys can use this. You can harvest any of these and then start changing the costumes around here. So the actual dance here is called Around the World. It's not really a dance per se, but it's it's basically every single conceivable angle of him. And so from here, you could duplicate this sprite and spin it around and have him do all kinds of 3D dance effects out of this. So this is just the starting point that you guys can use to make your own dance moves for me. So by all means, copy this file. I'm going to leave a version of it in the a link to it in the file description as well, and remix this file. And any dance moves that you use, I promise, will be, as long as they're not horrible, they will be used in our AMV project. So that was Yana's first project. Yana also did a little quickie dance for me here. This is called the Sprinkler, and you can see how just by manipulating the shape of these of this sprite a little bit, she was able to. Sorry, they were able to get a whole bunch of really realistic 3D effects going here. Sorry to misgender you there, Yana. So I think that this looks really cool. It's only 3 or 4 frames of animation, but surprisingly good looking, eh? I got a couple more dance moves here. This is the Spin Master by Wang, and it has the most amazing spin effect in it. Check this out, guys. Whoa! I just love that. Let's look at that one more time, guys. So he does kind of a fairly typical kind of dance move here, but then goes into this whoa and then spins and then does this thing that only a robot could do anyway. Super impressive here. I just think this is really cool. Let's look at it just one last time. So this is Wang. He's a student at Bell High School in Ottawa. Liam says he's going to remix this. Fantastic. So Liam, go ahead. Yeah, and I'm going to be having a look at any shared remixes of this project, and you don't even have to contact me. Just remix the file and save it. Make it so that when you click the green flag, your dance move plays on the screen, and we will import it and use it in our dance video, as long as you come up with it in the next couple of weeks while we're working on this project. Here's one other dance move here. This is the 80s dance by Kal, who's our resident artist. It's a nice little thing, and it kind of ends in a jump here. I think this is quite nice as well. I love the little smirk on the robot here. This is really nice, actually. Anyway, so thanks to all my co-op students who have been working so hard on this project. I am really excited about this AMV project. We've got Music Man Joe, one of my other volunteer co-op students, working on some music here. We're going to be doing a remix cover of a famous 80s song called Freakadroid, if you guys want to look that up and see what it sounds like. It's a fun little 80s rock beat that kind of has some robot themes in it. It starts off at the very beginning talking about robots, and it uses very early 1980s style voice synthesis to get robot voices working. So it's a really cool little song track, and we're going to remix it and redo the voices. If anyone else out there has any musical talent, by the way, or can sing or anything like that, we're looking for voice actors to do this stuff as well. Spadook here says he remixed my Smoke project. Wow, let's have a look at that. Let's see if you've shared it, Spadook. I can definitely get it up here. So let me get back to the project page here. Just a second. I want to see if I can find this this remix. I'll just do a refresh on the page here. Here it is. I assume this is you, Demonator. Ooh. I'm not quite sure what you did there. It has kind of a little bit more of a particly effect. So you added it looks like you added a little bit of a filter to this. Hey, let's have a look inside the code here and see what's going on here. Maybe, no, it's not. So maybe it's inside the, oh, very cool, Spadook. So this is the base image. So all the rest of the code remains unchanged, but we've actually got a bit of a scribble effect here. Let me pull this apart here. So it's a scribble that's been duplicated a bunch of times. Oh, what a really interesting approach here. And just by doing this, we get a totally different kind of smoke out of it here. Thank you, Spadook. It looks a little bit like something out of a magazine or something. What's that called again? A dot, that dot effect that you get when you're drawing stuff for print and you're making it out of dots. It's a, Oh, darn it. If anyone remembers what that's called. Liam says he's going to make a car with smoke on the back. So I would love to see that, Liam. That sounds really awesome. So do remix that, and maybe I can show it on next week's stream. Excellent. Thanks, you guys, for participating. I love to see people doing stuff in real time during my stream here. Anyway, so lots of ways you guys can get involved in my AMV project. Really looking forward to having you guys join me for that if you'd like. Meanwhile, we got some other content for you here today. I wanted to show you Oscar's project. Where did that go? I loaded it up here and promptly lost the tab. So let's see if I can quickly find it here again. Not in any of these places. Here it is. Okay, so this is Oscar's little April Fool's video. I'm going to show it to you. So, yeah, Oscar is quite a prolific Scratch animator, and he's been making all kinds of fun stuff, and he now has a YouTube channel. And
hey guys, it's me, I'm Man. Welcome to the Man Show. This is the show where man are contestants, and they are contestants, and they will be in show. Okay, I will show the contestants. Hey guys, my name is Man. I am here to compete in order.
Hello, I am a very big man. I have many men in big man.
Hey guys, it's me, Tiny Man. I'm going to kill you all in your sleep.
That's enough of that nonsense, Oscar. So, does anything else happen, or is it just a whole bunch of people saying they're man?
There's a challenge.
Okay.
You can skip to that, I guess.
Can I skip to like 2 minutes here? Is that a good spot to skip to?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that then. All right.
You can summon Steve, Minecraft Man. Why did nothing happen?
Man.
And
Man.
won the contest. Wow, epic, yeah. Vote who you want out of the show right now. Do it now. Vote in the comments now. Do it now.
Sorry about that, dude. Anyway, again, I forgot to unmute myself. I'm sorry about that, everybody. So, yeah, please do give RGB Plays a look. I've just linked to his YouTube channel here in the chat, and do give him a boo. Speaking of promoting people, I have, as I was saying, I regularly get communicated with by other members of the Scratch community who show me their projects. It doesn't have to be super fancy stuff. There's a lot of young kids out there who are just starting to do coding, and I'm always happy to show off their work. So this is a project by a fellow by the name of Tiger Animator from Malaysia. I don't think I've spoken to anyone from Malaysia before. I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl. I think we've got a boy here, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, Tiger Animator loves making platformers, and they claim here that they've made the code of this entirely themselves. So here's just a typical example of a platformer that they've made here. Whoa, that's a little loud. And yeah, just a nice, competent little platformer. There's some lava you can fall into.
Oh, sorry.
I love the I'm sorry effect there.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, just a nice little platformer game. Quite challenging.
Oh, sorry.
Alright. as you guys can see, I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to platformers, so I'm not going to go any further in this. Anyway, so just wanted to give a little brief shout out to Tiger Animator, who's doing some great work out there, making lots of interesting platformers. You can check his profile out there. As I was saying, he's from Malaysia, and his name is Tiger-Animator. Anyway, okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit more. I was going to show you a game review. So the brand new game that Young, our reviewer, has done. But before I did that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Firas, who's one of my students, one of my co-op students, who's been doing some really great animation work for me. I sent him to work quite a while ago trying to do an introduction that was a little bit cooler for our game reviews. He came up with something really cool. It's a little bit too long, and we're probably going to end up trimming it. But so this might be your one and only chance to see the entire animation that he did in its original state. So we got him to grab some. We wanted some sort of game theme to this, of course, because these are game reviews. So we went to the Spriters Resource, which is the website for downloading sprites, and we had him download some Donkey Kong sprites. Here's a sprite sheet, which is a typical example of the way that you can get sprites into Scratch. I've done some previous tutorials. I'm going to be doing another standalone tutorial at some point on how to turn sprite sheets into animations in Scratch. You can see that there's hundreds and hundreds of frames of animation here that you can do all sorts of amazing stuff with. So Firas has very painstakingly cut out all these animations, removed the backgrounds, and turned them into a little intro to our game review, which is a regular segment, of course, that we're running on the stream here. So here is Young's game review with, for the first time, the world premiere of Firas's Donkey Kong intro for our game reviews, and here it is right now.
This week we're going to be reviewing a fast-paced car racing game with tons of different characters you can select from, tons of different maps you can select from. It's called Pocoyo Racing, and it's a Scratch adaptation of a popular App Store game. This game has a lot of unique maps, so many different ways you could play things out, so many things to master, and all of that combined is just what makes this game so fun to play.
Warmer, it's the perfect time for some kart racing, and to start the season off, I'm going to show you guys Pocoyo Racing on Scratch.
So, even though today I am reviewing Pocoyo Racing version 0.3, the person who actually made this game is not Lucas Liu, it's actually Barry Fans. He created the first version 0.01, and then people just made a bunch of remixes of it, and this is very boring, this is very broad, so that's why they had a lot of updates to it. Barry Fans has been a scratcher for 4 years and 4 months. He has created many games, a lot of games, but he doesn't have that many followers. He only has 379, so I would suggest you try to follow this guy and help him out a bit. This is a wondrous select screen. The instructions on the right here are very clear and very simple. The graphics look very nice. This game almost certainly took inspiration from Mario Kart with the time trial and the Grand Prix over here. And something that I actually really like about the select screen is not only is it like animated and it's pretty cool, but you can change the volume settings. No Scratch game that I have seen so far has this, and since Scratch music is generally super loud, this is a really good thing to add in, and it's just so nice to have. And let's head in here and check it out. There's a bunch of characters. They're gonna add new characters every single time. One thing I wish, however, you could see the maps. Like if I hover this, I can see the maps, like the layout of it, And I wish I could choose my cart, but overall, the select screen is pretty cool. So with that all out of the way, I'm going to start a medium Grand Prix difficulty and play the first map. I'm going to select Fred. Fred is my favorite character. Medium cup, here we go. So if you look at this, we're all in a clump. And one thing I don't like about this game so far is there's no collision. It makes things a lot more boring, a lot more bland, and overall just like it makes the game easier, which is not what you want. You want the game to be difficult but simple. And I think collision can be just that. Another thing is the background is really boring. Like right now, it's literally just blue and white at the background. I think that you can spice that up a bit by adding like, I don't know, some trees or something, some like fish if you want this to be an aquatic map. Just adding something to the background would make things look a lot nicer. Also, you guys notice that I've been knocking into the edges often. That's because I'm trying to hug the edges. If you hug the edges, what it does is it makes it so you have to go a less distance. So someone else who's not hugging the edges, let's say they're running or they're in this case driving, they have to cover 500 meters. If I hug the edges, I only have to cover 400 meters. So my first tip would be to just play the game. This is a very unique game. You can't get used to it instantly. And then my second tip, a very important one, just hug the edges. If you hug the edges, this game will be a lot easier for you. Thank you guys for watching.
Well, thank you for that, Young. So, yeah, a really cool game for you. I will link that in the description in a little bit. So I had a message here from Liam, who says he had a version of Liam from Russia, apparently, who has a version of my smoke effects here, but it appears not to be shared here. So if you can get it shared, I'd like to show it. No, I've already refreshed it here, buddy. So I'm looking at your shared projects, and all I'm seeing is the smoke effects without the background here. So if you do get that running, I'm happy to show it. I've got one more video to show here, and let's get that going right now. So Cal, our resident artist, has been working on a drawing tutorial. It says Donkey Kong 2022 says, what? Yeah, I'm not seeing it here, buddy. So I'm going to get this, we're going to get this sorted out during the break here. But right now I do want to show you the latest chapter of Cal's art tutorial series. It's called Draw It. And a couple of weeks ago, she started drawing a cat head. And now she's going to show you how to finish that cat up. So learn a little bit about art and drawing in Scratch. Here we go.
Hi guys, welcome to our second video on the cat drawing. Today we're working on the body, and let's go! Starting off like we did before in our first cat video, we're just going to make a normal circle using the same color we used for the face. In my case, it's brown. We're going to be using the waypoints again, or control points, however you like to call them, and we're going to make a shape that reminds me of an onigiri. Fun fact, if you didn't know, onigiri is a convenience store food found in Japan that is normally filled with either tuna or something similar and wrapped with seaweed. Moving on, we're making the legs, so make an elongated oval shape and make another smaller one right underneath it. And we're going to be using the waypoint tool or control points, however you want to call them, and we're going to edit the shape to make it more like a paw. Zooming in, we're going to turn this shapeless blob into an actual cat paw, or making it look like a cartoon cat paw, by adding 3 lines that we're going to edit using the waypoint tool to give us that cartoon look we're looking for. Moving on from the cat paw, I didn't know exactly which pattern I was going to do for the cat body, so I opted to make just a regular brown blob to break up the geometric shape of the cat arm to make it more like flow into the body seamlessly. Newsflash, I changed my mind later down the line and we will see that happen, but I just used the shift click method and made the leg into one group and copied it over and flipped it to make the other leg. Now making the back paws, I just repeated what I did to make the front paws, just made the circle, use the waypoints or control points to shift the shape into more of a paw shape, and then use the 3 lines using the waypoints again to give the curve shape to the cartoon, and then I just copied and pasted it and moved it towards the back of my thing so it actually looks like it's behind the cat paw. Going into more detail about what going behind and front is, basically when you have a shape you have the choice to either pull it forward or pull it backwards by clicking it and pressing the buttons at the top, as you can see here. Moving on, I made the tail, which I find was the hardest thing for me to do out of this whole project. I just couldn't figure out how to make a proper squiggle tail shape. There might have been easier ways for me to do this, but I hadn't figured it out yet, and if you have any tips, please let me know in the comments. But as you can see, I'm struggling here trying to make the tail look like a tail instead of just a weird shape. It came out okay in the end, but definitely would do it differently next time. Remember when we created the brown blob to make the legs seamlessly fall into the torso? It came to bite me in the butt later. I had chosen a pattern and couldn't realize why it wasn't working, so I had to just go over it. Go over the stuff I had already created with the color I wanted to use for the pattern. Basically, creating more work for myself that wasn't needed if I had just done it from the beginning. But you change your mind, things happen, you fix it up. I added a little spot onto the tail too, which thank God was easy to do. Wasn't too hard, nothing too bad. We were good with that. Just a little frustrating to make it line up seamlessly on the cat tail like we did with the cat ear a while ago. You can see I changed my mind again. With the cat arms, I basically erased everything I did and then redid it afterwards. After resizing the head to fit the cat body. I gave myself so much work. Please make it easy on yourself. Don't do what I did. It was frustrating, but in the end, you know, things happen. You change your mind. That's okay. Just don't get too frustrated with yourself. In the end, as you can see, I made it easy. I just made 2 circles and just left it at that. We're almost done. I just grouped it together so everything would just be all just one unified piece. You can stop here. I wanted to add a little bow tie to make my guy handsome. You can do that. You can make a top hat. You can make anything you like. I will do a separate video later where I go into more depth about making like accessories. If there's anything you guys would like to specifically see, just put them in the comments below and I'll try my best to create them. But this is the end. See you guys next time. Bye!
Well, thank you for that, Cal. I'm as you guys can probably tell, I'm really interested in art and Scratch, and so I've been wanting for a long time to get an art tutorial series going, and I think Cal's doing a fantastic job with that. So I finally did track down the car project by LolMe93, aka Liam here. So let's show it to you right now. Okay, Demonator, I'm going to show yours as well here in a second. So here is the car project that Liam was talking about here. Oh, we seem to have gotten it moved to the wrong place. I think I might have jiggled something around. That might be my fault here. Let's get the smoke positioned properly here. Yeah, so Liam has remixed my project here to have the smoke coming out of a car. That's really cool. I'd love to see the car in motion though, which would be a little bit cooler. I was playing around with the code a little bit and during the break here, and I do think this, instead of going straight up, should be moving out sideways. So I've just changed the X and Y coordinates a little bit here. I think we probably could make it a thinner stream too, which we can do by speeding up the Y position speed here a little bit. So let's change Y by a faster number here, maybe -3 to 3. That's still not skinny enough here. Let's just go with a change y. Oh, we have to change x by a number here. So let's change the y just by -2 or something here. And change the x by a negative number, like maybe -5. I'm gonna move this. Oh, I can't. Anyway, you can see it's going to take a little bit more playing around to get working properly. Okay, so I got confused a little earlier between different projects, and I showed Diminator 2014's page before, and then got confused about who was who here. So let's get that up and running here. I'm just finding it right now. Okay, so here is Diminator, and he wanted to show off one of his projects, and I'm always happy to do that on my stream for people who are watching me here. So let's find Donkey Kong 2022 by Diminator here. Here we are. This does not look very much like Donkey Kong, dude. All right. This looks like a little bit of a troll, I'm afraid, my friend. Okay, I'm going to run a few more seconds of it. Diminator. So Diminator... Yeah, this looks like a troll to me, dude. Anyway, so this is Diminator's project. I can't say I'm super impressed, but if you ever have a real project you want to share with us, then please do go ahead. Well, now, we're around 11 o'clock or so I really think it's time we probably call this party to an end here. So we're going to continue working on our AMV project this week. One more reminder that I would love to have you guys participate. Please remix one of my robots. I will put some more information in the links for anyone who wants to participate. And so remix my robot, create a background for me, and there will be more tasks to be done. I'm going to be giving you another update next week on how it's coming along, and really happy to have you guys join me. In the meantime, yeah, Top Secret Asian here says that wasn't Donkey Kong. I think that is pretty obvious. In the meantime, thanks a lot for joining me. I will be back with more great Scratch content next week. Bye.